right now at this point, I'm buying organic olive oil that is available through the United Natural Foods Incorporated, and they guarantee that it is 100% olive oil, and that's what you have to put on your salad. Right? I just pour it into, I get it, in a huge can, the 35 pounds of organic olive oil at a time. But we pour it into bottles that say all kinds of things. So I don't know what your bottle will say, but it's organic olive oil that you actually eat. All right, and then you might want to make some oils this summer. And plantain, self-heal, violet, yarrow, some good choices. Gretchen Gould, a wonderful herbalist who's kind of backed away from her herbal things because she's a musician first and a singer, and she works very, very closely in her church community and creates, like Hildegard of Bingen, creates wonderful chants that her church community sings. And so as she's gotten into her 80s, she's needed to make a bit of a limit in her life as to where she's going to put her energy. She's had a few health challenges, and so it's more and more into her music. But she did have a business called Amazing Grease, and she just wowed me, because you go down into her laboratory, which is down in the basement again. You want your oils to be dark and cool, and she had, oh golly, maybe 40 or 50 different gallon jars of plant oils. And she could make an oil out of almost anything and everything. And Filipendula, we were talking yesterday about willow, and that salicin compound Filipendula, like spirea, another plant in the rose family, it has so much salicin in it that when she makes an oil from the Filipendula, she puts a caution on it that it will give you such pain relief that you actually might hurt yourself because it will numb the area so strongly. There's Filipendula growing on the deck. Is it flowering? It has a compound leaf, like a rose leaf, and the flowers are white, and they're kind of fluffy, like foamy. So several things you can look for up on the deck, right? The chickweed, the Filipendula, right? The oxalis, right? The shiso, right? So when you're out there waiting for your lunch to come out, tour yourself around.
Would you make the oil out of the flowers or the leaves?
At first she made it out of the flowers, but she said they're so fluffy that she couldn't get the oil back out. Just sponged it up. So now she used the whole flowering top, the stalk, the leaves, and the flowers.
Okay. And for violet oil, could it
the leaves?
Just the leaves.
Just the leaves. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. A very soothing oil. Really, really lovely oil. You can make red clover oil. Both violet oil and red clover oil are considered discutiate. That is, that they help soften hard tissue. So you have scar tissue, discutiate oil would be used, like the violet oil or red clover oil. And of course, yellow sweet clover, which we've been talking about, and white sweet clover, makes an oil with this incredible scent. Now, the difficulty, as you probably have noticed with olive oil, is it doesn't hold scents very long. What really holds scents for a long time is coconut oil. And I remember the first apprentice who brought me a bottle of coconut oil, and she said, "Here's some coconut oil," and she handed it to me, and she looked at it and she went, "What happened?" She was from Hawaii. She had never seen coconut oil signified. Right, so she thought she was giving me a bottle of coconut oil, and it's just like, white stuff.
Yeah.
Right, which is how we're used to it being. It's like a solid white thing, right? So if you're going to use coconut oil to make your herbal oils, and I urge you to give it a try.
Good taste.
Great taste, and really good for the skin. And the coconut oil holds scents. I had a white sage and coconut oil that somebody made 10 years ago, and you open that and it smells like you just put your face in sage. Yeah. So, you may have to warm it slightly to get it liquid and keep it slightly warm. In order to do that, what some people use is a crock pot, especially a crock pot that actually has a temperature dial, and you want it cranked all the way down. Low on most crock pots is not low enough. It will make your herbs too crispy. But coconut oil. Also animal fats. When I was researching for the rest book, I found found a salve recipe from Hildegard of Bingen. And the salve recipe was a couple of herbs that were to be prepared in the belly fat from a young male goat. And I thought, oh. Now I had always known that herbal ointments were made in lard before we had access to olive oil or any kind of seed oils. What we used was animal fats. But my entire life as an herbalist, everybody had been making their oils with olive oil or some other oil that they wanted, but it was, oil, and then they would heat it up, and I would say, why are you heating this up? All right? Because, of course, once you heat up oil, you've turned it rancid, and then they had to put in vitamin E at the end to deal with the fact that they'd made their oil rancid. And the whole thing just didn't make a lot of sense to me until I suddenly realized, oh, wow, if you're using an animal fat, it's solid at room temperature, you have to heat it up to get the herb into it, but the animal fat is stable. So when it solidifies again, you don't have to add an antioxidant to it because you haven't turned it rancid. As a matter of fact, I think it was Justine who showed me how to preserve meat by pouring an animal fat in a layer in a rectangular dish, and you put your meat in it, then more fat, then more meat, then more fat, then more meat, and then a big layer of fat, and it's a preserved dish now, right? Because the fat seals the meat from the oxygen.
I learned that in Atlanta, where we were serving about 1,200 people a day in that fancy restaurant.
It was fascinating.
They stored all their meat like that in the walk-in. Everything
Everything was stored
in a layer of fat.
in a layer of fat.
It was a lot, too. It was a big walk-in.
Big walk-in, so that you didn't suddenly have 1 hour to get ready. You had all day long to get ready for all these people you were going to serve, and you could. And it was raw meat, right?
What's that?
The meat was raw.
When the meat came from the butcher, they would put it into the pans and into the fat and into the refrigerator, and that's how it was
Right.
stored in the restaurant from the beginning.
Because it's refrigerated, it gets solid.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Right.
Keeps the air off of it.
Keeps the air out of it. Right?
There's no oxygen exchange when the presence of the lipids.
Yeah.
Right.
Smart.
So why would Hildegard have specified the belly fat from a young male goat? Because she was treating a woman who had a lump in her breast. Now, Hildegard would not have known estrogen from testosterone from, BPA, right? But she knew that the belly fat of a young male goat had something in it that would counter that lump. Testosterone, which might counter the estrogen that might be feeding that cancer. She would never have used those words to talk about it.
Whoa.
Right? Because the generative organs in the male are in the belly. The testicles are between the legs, but the rest of it comes up into the belly. So that's the fat that she wanted, right? When we look inside an animal, the kidneys are in pads of fat. And on top of the kidneys are the on top of renals. The kidneys are the renals. So the adrenals are on top of them. So you have the kidney, the adrenal, and fat all the way around it. What might be in that fat?
Adrenaline.
What else?
Epinephrine.
Cortisol,
Cortisol.
which is one step before cortisone.
Yeah.
You can go out to the drugstore and buy cortisone. What do you use it against?
Swelling.
Inflammation.
Itching, swelling, right? So we use kidney fat to make our herbal ointment. Now we have an ointment that has cortisone abilities. Wow.